prepaid expenses. This is our new adjustment. Okay, and prepaid expenses means paid in advance. Even though we are not liable to pay, but we paid the amount in advance. Sometimes it happens that we pay money in advance, isn't it? So that is called prepaid expense. See the meaning. Meaning is what? Expenses which are paid in advance belongs to the beforehand, belongs to the coming years. Any expense which we are to incur in the next year, which belongs to the next year, but we paid in this year. Suppose our next year is 2014 and our current year is 2013. Any expenses which belongs to the next year, which are related to this year, but I paid that expenses in this year, in our current year. So it means expenses related to next year but paid in this year. So it means I paid the expenses in advance, isn't it? So that is called prepaid expense. Got it or not? So that is called prepaid expense. Now see the adjustment. I am taking one example, and with that example I will explain you. Now see in the question, trial balance is given. This is the trial balance. In the question they will give you the trial balance. So this is the trial balance. And in the trial balance, suppose one item is there, rent paid. Okay, and rent paid how much? 6,500. This is the amount of rent paid. Got it? Now see the other information. What is the other information? See, rent paid is for 13 months. This is the additional information given in the question. So tell me, what is the amount of rent paid? And this rent paid belongs to how many months? 13 months. As per the information given in the question, this is the rent paid, and this rent paid is for how many months? 13 months, isn't it? So what is the per month rent? I think 500. Per month rent is 500. So it means there are 12 months in a year and we are to pay 500 per month. So total how many amount we are to pay in a year towards rent? 6,000 na? I paid 6,500, no doubt, and that 6,500 belongs to 13 months. So per month rent is 500, isn't it? So during the year there are 12 months, and as per and at the rate of $500 per month, I have to pay only 6,000 na? But I paid how much? 6,500. So how much amount I paid in advance? Yeah, this is that extra amount. I have to pay only 6,000. This is the amount I have to pay. But actually, really I paid 6,500. It means I paid $500 in advance. Okay. So this extra 500 I paid. Actually, I should pay this 500. I should have paid this 500 in the next year, but I paid in this year only. So this is the amount I paid in advance, isn't it? So this is called prepaid expense. This is called prepaid expense. Got it? Now you tell me, I have to bring this 500 or I have to remove this 500? Yeah, got it. Because in the income statement we are to show only rent for 12 months, not for 13 months. And this rent is for how many months? 13 months. This rent is for 13 months, but in income statement we are to show 12 months rent, that is 6,000. So it means out of this 6,500 I have to show only 6,000. It means out of this 6,500 I have to remove 500, isn't it? I have to remove this 500, and for that I need to pass this adjustment entry. This adjustment entry I will pass. Okay. Now tell me, I have to remove now this expense. I have to subtract, isn't it? And I have to subtract now this 500 from this 6,500. Now see, expenses are always debited, so I have to remove. So in place of debiting, now what I will do, I will credit. I will turn towards the opposite side. I explained in the previous lesson. So this time what I will do, I will credit the rent account. this is rent account. I will credit this account and I will debit which account? Prepaid rent account. Prepaid rent account. This is the adjustment entry. Got it? This is the adjustment. See, prepaid expenses account debit, so I wrote here prepaid rent, and expenses account should be credited, so I credited the rent account. Got it or not? Now see, this expenses I debited or credited. This is rent paid and this is also rent paid, and this is debited or credited in the entry? Credited na? Yeah, see here debited, the amount is in which column? Debit column, 6500, and in the entry I credited na rent account with how much amount? 500. So debit by 6500 and credit by 500. So I should add or I should subtract? See, debit side and then reverse the side, this is the opposite side, so I will subtract na, then only 6000 will come. So understood the entry? Understood the logic why I credited the rent account? Now see the impact of this entry. Now see how we will show this item in the income statement. First I will take rent. Rent as per trial balance is how much? Tell me. This is the rent, this is the trial balance na, and as per trial balance what is the amount of rent paid? 6500, isn't it? So this I will show in the income side, expenses side. This is the profit and loss account. In the expenses I will show rent paid. Rent paid how much? 6500 as per trial balance, isn't it? Now see the entry. This item I have considered in the income statement. Now I have to consider this adjustment entry. Now tell me, in adjustment entry, rent paid account, rent account is debited or credited? Yeah, opposite direction na, credited with 500 and opposite direction, and as opposite direction, so I have to subtract 500 and I will show 6000 here. Okay, so I have to write here less prepaid rent. Why I subtracted this 500? Because here rent account is credited, and credited means reverse direction. Here debited with 6500 and here credited. Credited means reverse direction. Reverse direction, it means I have to subtract. Okay, and after subtraction I got the amount of rent which belongs to the how many months? 12 months. In the income statement we have to show only 12 months figure. This is 13 months figure and minus 1 month figure, so this is the 12 months figure. Got it? So understood the first impact. This I showed the impact of this item. The impact of this item is shown, and now I have to show the impact of this item, prepaid rent. So see, this prepaid rent will appear here, where? In the balance sheet under head current assets. Under head which? Current assets. Prepaid rent, how much amount? 500. So this is the first impact. 500 I have to subtract, and this is the second impact. I have to show prepaid rent in the balance sheet under head current assets. Got it or not? Now see the impact. See, what is the first impact? Less prepaid expense from the related item of expenses in the income statement. So see, in the income statement, this is the income statement and this is the related item, and from this related item I subtracted the amount of prepaid rent. So this is the first impact. And second impact, show prepaid expense as current assets in the balance sheet. So this is the balance sheet, under head current asset I showed the amount prepaid rent. Got it? And why it is asset? Because we paid this money in advance, isn't it? This amount I paid in advance, so I have to I will get benefit in future. So that's why it is our asset. In future I will get benefit of this 500. So that's why it is our asset. It is not our liability, isn't it? So understood this adjustment?